think what's interesting is the rotation and at what point we're going to see it. If there's one aspect to Ancelotti where, well, there's many aspects where he's kind of revised his views on football over the years. You know, from his starting point as like a little Sacchi clone back at Parma when he was super dogmatic to what he's become now. One of that area I think is physical fitness and preparation. There's really been an emphasis on that his son is obviously a big part of it as well. And what I've been told is if Modric and Kroos are playing all these games now, it's because they can. Doesn't mean that it's going to continue. Right. And I think later on, if he feels that he needs to keep them fresh, perhaps with the Champions League, where, you know, I think we're all sleeping on Real Madrid all the time on the Champions League. I've said this all along. I think it's absurd. Like, I flick on the television, like, well, it's got to be an English club or Bayern because there's nobody else who can play football. You know, I'm like, no, let's have a little bit of respect for people who've won this a couple times, yeah? But, so I definitely think that will come. I think one of the main things that he's emphasized is building the Militão Alaba partnership at the back. And Sid, if you could talk about that a little bit, because I think that's, you know, earlier in the season we saw them leak stupid goals through individual mistakes. With Ferland Mendy back in, with Dani Carvajal, who I think is another guy who often gets a little bit overlooked, back in. It's taken pressure off of Casemiro. He doesn't do stupid things and can focus on what he's good at. But those two have really grown. I mean, is this a top five? This is a top five center back pairing in Europe now, right? Militão,
I think it is. So. I mean, off the top of my head, I can't think of other centre back pairings, enough of them to be able to put 4 or 5 ahead of this pair. I think that's definitely true. I think, by the way, you're right about Carvajal. I think Carvajal gets overlooked. I think it's vitally important to this team in terms of that little touch of nastiness, the athleticism, the intelligence, and of course the fact that it means you're just not playing a makeshift right back. Because whoever replaces Carvajal, it's not a right back. Lucas Vázquez can do an all right job there, but he's not a right back. Nacho can do a good job there, but he's a kind of a utility man defender. In terms of those two, I think obviously what's really interesting about those two is the fact that it's 2 new players. It's not just that this is Alaba good? Is Militão good? We know they're both potentially good. We both know they both have skill sets that mean that they can be successful. And Militão, for example, who was a bit chaotic last year, that aggression and that speed, and I suppose in a way he's got the aggression of perhaps of a Ramos. He's got the recovery speed of Varane. And a lot of what Varane did for many years, and I think people overlook this, was bail Ramos out. Varane spent a lot of his time at Real Madrid bailing Ramos out. Ramos would go flying up the pitch to get something, the space opens up, and Varane's recovery speed across the back was fantastic, and Militão's doing a bit of that, as well as having that extra touch of nastiness. Alaba, I think, is taking on the more of a leadership role and the kind of the understanding of the game and the quality of the game. And one of the things that really strikes me about Alaba is he does this thing that basketball players do. At the end of every play, there's a high five. There's this kind of sense of, yeah, well done, after every single play, after every move. And what's really important about those two, and this is what I was coming to, is it's not just about, is he good? Because to be perfectly honest, given their ages, Alaba is an upgrade on Sergio Ramos. Lots of Real Madrid fans won't thank us for saying that, but he is. The question was, can you build a new partnership after 10 years of Ramos and Varane together? You're putting 2 new players in. It's not just are they good, it's are they good together? And I think that's what's really worked. And I love Ancelotti's thing that he's come up with this year, that he's repeated a lot, which is to talk about how he wants defenders to be pessimists. He doesn't want them thinking, hey, this is great, I can go up the pitch with the ball. He wants them to always be thinking about the worst case scenario. And I think they've started to do that in the last 7 or 8 weeks.
It's funny, when you mentioned Varane bailing out Sergio Ramos, I was thinking, bailing? Why does that term sounds familiar in the context of Real Madrid, but I can't quite put my finger on it. Maybe, I don't know, some ghost of the past. But anyway, let's move on from...
By the way, Gareth Bale...
Stop it, no, let's not talk about that guy.
No, just let me throw this one line in. This is a starting 11 which is absolutely clear-cut now. Well, 10 of the 11 are. The only position that's not 100% clear-cut in the starting 11 is the one that Gareth Bale could come back into.
Exactly. Stop it.
Asensio,
my man Asensio.
But that's the only option.
We got Asensio, and when Rodrigo needs to come in, he comes in. He comes in. I don't want to hear about that.
Bale can come and bail out.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Bale's hey. Jules, I know you're getting annoyed because you're getting grumpy because we haven't spoken enough about Benzema.
Karim the dream.
Thank you. And his finish. And can I just note, though, Vinicius, 2 assists, yes?
Yes, lovely.
Best player in Spain this season, Vinicius.
I'm still struck, though, by the, I don't think many people would dispute that. Maybe Courtois might, but but of course goalkeepers get no love. But the Benzema finish, what struck me about this was, you rewatch it, all right, Vinicius puts it on the plate for him. The defender moves away from him because you expect him to take a touch or to go forward. And instead, he contorts his body and he volleys it. That's technique.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that
he makes it look so easy.
He's at the start of the move as well. It's him on the halfway line who gets the ball, turns and gives it to Asensio, who then gives it to Vinicius, who crosses the ball. I love the fact that he slows down his running on purpose, because I think he knows I will have more space on the edge of the box than if I go into the 6-yard box where Kondogbia is going to be there and Llorente and Hermoso or whoever else. So he slows down on purpose. I think the line of 4 by Atleti just drops too much, and with that space, I think even he can still even take a touch and then finishes it. But the volley is so sweet, considering he's 50% fit, plays, and I think knows from the beginning he's only going to play the first half. To score a goal like this is pretty special.
Yeah, I felt like on that occasion he also knew he was ready to react. In other words, if the defender had stepped to him, he would have run past him, and Vinicius would have had the foresight to put the ball deeper into the box rather than cutting it back. And I just think this is really next level stuff.
Can I make a slight correction, a pedantic one perhaps, but a slight correction? You've both said the defender moves away from him. I think the truth is the defenders, plural, move away from him. You have a situation in which there are 6 men in the box who play for Atletico Madrid and 1 who plays for Real Madrid. And all 6 of them are running towards their goalkeeper. And as you say, Benzema takes a pause and steps back out away from them, and they keep running. And there's no one sees him. I think the defending on that goal is awful. Really awful.
It is.
It's not the awful kind of thing that's an obvious thing where someone trips over the ball or gives it away or misses a tackle. But it's awful because they're all just running in the same direction. No one is aware of him. And then the thing that most struck me about the finish is live, it looked like he'd really thumped it. And then you watch the replay again and he doesn't thump it at all. He's very conscious of keep this down and keep this on target. It's guided. It's not thumped at all. Although obviously when Benzema guides a ball, he still catches it so cleanly that it still travels pretty quickly. But it's the calmness of it. It's the awareness that, okay, if I really swing at this goes in the stands. And just guide it down low. One other thing to add to that, the calmness, Vinicius. A year ago, Vinicius doesn't look up and clip the ball calmly onto Benzema's volley like that. A year ago, he smashes it into the stand.
Yeah. Do you remember when we had our top ESPN's like top 23, under 23?
Yeah.
Tor Christian Carlson he put like Vinicius at number 2 or something, and some people complained about the fact that he had him well ahead. Yeah, see, that Carlson can see into the future. Shout out to Tor. I want to get to Atleti, but first I want to go back to something you said, which is Ancelotti speaking so matter of fact and so directly and bluntly and saying, I'm paraphrasing what you said earlier when you yourself were paraphrasing Ancelotti. Well, we like to keep a low block so we have space for our strikers to run into on the counterattack. It's kind of anathema in modern football. In modern football, you're supposed to be proactive. You're supposed to push up. You're supposed to congest the space. This is the same Ancelotti who told me a few years ago that, the thing about Real Madrid is you can't just win. You have to win by playing well. This is a place where you can be 4-0 up and get booed by your own fans at the Bernabeu. Sid, can you? I know you love going off on cultural tangents, which I find fascinating. Can you explain this apparent disconnect, or is it not a contradiction at all?
I think it's not as much of a contradiction as it seems, in that there isn't a puritanical streak in that from Real Madrid. It's true that the fans want them to play well, but the conception of what playing well is different. So, for example, the idea that playing well is short passing, keeping possession, pressing high, all those kind of things, very, very ingrained at Barcelona, but it's not at Real Madrid. Playing well at Real Madrid can be the vertigo of a quick counter-attack. It can be the speed. It can be the aggressiveness. It can be being a bit more direct. So I don't think it matters like that. The other thing is to look at it in the context of where Ancelotti comes from. A team that didn't win the league last year, that got to the semi-final of the Champions League, it's true, but got to semi-final of the Champions League with everyone thinking, wow, how did that happen? You know, they weren't always that good, even if they then turned it on in key games. And a team that felt like, at the start of the summer, this was likely to be a team in transition that hadn't got Mbappe. And there was kind of a feeling like this season was a season to get through until he turns up. And actually, here they are in a position where they are very, very likely to win the league.
Yeah.
And they lost half of the defense as well. And
yes, exactly.
You know, it's remarkable.
I want to take it back to Atleti. We touched upon this before about sort of the evolution and whatnot.
Thanks so much for watching ESPN on YouTube. And for more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for premium content and live streaming, subscribe to ESPN Plus.